All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Just getting everything together here. There was recently a debate in one of these Twitter spaces. It was not Tariq's Twitter space, but he joined the Twitter space. And those of you who follow me, you knew I was going to get triggered. You knew I was going to get triggered. But listen, I would not have been triggered and I would not make this video had Tariq handled them properly. Listen, man, let's just be honest. Sometimes his performance is not the best. When he gets into these debates, sometimes he falls short. And when he does, I like to come in and fill in the blanks. That's all this is. Y'all stop with all this internet beef and you're going at Tariq and all this silly nonsense. No, I'm just chiming in on the discussion. But recently, he uploaded a Twitter space. Again, it wasn't his Twitter space. He just joined to chime in. And I want y'all to listen to some of the things that were said in this Twitter space.
When did they get you?
I'm telling you centuries, sir.
He said, he asked, when did black people get here in the Americas?
Tourists ain't going back as far enough. That's like last week.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Let's get.
So when did they get indigenousness as Negro? So when did they get here? You know, America is termed the New World, correct? So when did they get here?
When did the natives get here?
Yeah, the Wichita, like you said.
Yeah, they've been here for centuries, just like
yeah,
Lucia
but when did they get
woman.
here?
They've been
Centuries
here
is not too long enough.
It's what?
Centuries ain't going back as far enough. That's like last week. When did they get here?
I'm telling you centuries, sir. They've been here for...
But some people cross the...
He also said the Lucia woman came here centuries ago. A century is 100 years. So I don't know why he keeps saying centuries ago. That could be 200 years, 300 years. That's centuries. Black people came to the Americas thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago.
The Bering Strait thousands of years ago, Tariq.
Those were some of the Siberians. But you got to understand, some people got here by sea.
Okay, so that means you met some people here then.
Excuse me, sir?
If you got here centuries ago and people crossed the Bering Strait thousands of years ago, that means you met some people here.
Well, the first people here were black. The black-skinned people were here before the pale skin or the red skin.
So how did they get here, Tariq?
Black people leave out of Africa. When did these black people leave out of Africa? Because
that's what I'm asking.
Now, she just asked, when did these black people leave out of Africa? I don't know who these other people are, but they're extremely ignorant of history.
When did they leave?
Okay. Do y'all believe that black people left out of Africa? Let's just start there. Do y'all believe black people left out of Africa at one point?
People left out of Africa, they were not black. They were a different version of a human. They were not the current...
Listen to this ignorant broad. She said when Africans left out of Africa, they were not black. What? Oh, God. What did you say, broad? They wasn't black. They were a different version of human beings. What are you talking about?
People left out of Africa. They were not black. They were a different version of a human. They were not the current version of what humans look like today. They were able to adapt to their different environments. The ones that moved up into Europe look whitey because they are whitey, because that's what they morphed into from leaving Africa. But that's thousands and thousands of years apart. That's not in proximity to the time.
That's another lie. Africans or black people did not morph into white people simply because they migrated into a cold area of the world. I've dealt with that on previous live streams. If anybody's unaware of it, I will handle it again in a future live streams. Not a problem.
that Native Americans even made it here. That's not the same thing. Had there been any African peoples here for 30,000 years, our civilization would not have been taken down by.
Did you hear that? She said, had black people been here for 30,000 years, our civilization wouldn't have been taken down. Listen to this. I'm going to back this up.
The African peoples here for 30,000 years, our civilization would not have been taken down by a few white tea people on some scrawny little boats. That wouldn't have happened.
Then how they do it in Africa? Then how they take it down in Africa?
Because we were tribes. The tribalism is what caused that. It has nothing to do with Africa is a continent, not a country.
Right. So you just contradicted yourself, dear.
No, I didn't. They were all African black people.
Yeah. If they could take the people down here, they could take them down in Africa.
So how come they
guns? How did this slip Tariq's mind? I have no idea. The Europeans had guns. That is what made all the difference. This broad is an airhead. Talking about how did white tea take us down on some scrawny boats? And it wasn't like they just hopped off the boats and started attacking us. They came projecting themselves as friends. Oh, we're friends. We're not going to harm you. We're looking for global love. And all this type of stuff, and then turned on them. And they had guns. That's what gave them the upper hand. Goofies. How do people get around? How do people gather to talk about history and forget something like that? Lord, what is going on? Okay, let's continue.
Okay, then how'd they take it down in Africa?
Because we were tribes. The tribalism is what caused that. It has nothing to do with Africa is a continent, not a country.
Right. So you just contradicted yourself, dear.
No, I didn't. They were all African black people.
Yeah. If they could take the people down here, they could take them down in Africa.
So how come they never managed to take away our cultural ties, like language and all that? Tariq, if this was your land before the white tea man showed up, everywhere where the white tea man showed up, native indigenous people had to sign treaties with them. Tell me two of which you signed.
We don't, as foundational black Americans, that's the great thing about us. We never signed treaties with
because them. It was not your land.
Because you're not American
because
Indian,
it was not
why.
your land, Tariq. Stop lying.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It was not your land.
It is our land. It's our land now.
Treaties but you.
It's our land now. We
didn't sign treaties.
You signed treaties. You signed treaties when you've been completely.
Let me just land real quick, Tariq.
You signed treaties when you've been.
Let me just land.
Slow down. No.
This is the reason. No.
You signed treaties when you've been completely conquered.
Okay, so no, that's actually false. You don't sign treaties when you're completely conquered. There's been several instances where people negotiated when they had the upper hand for the treaties, but that's besides the point. Additionally, I don't know if you actually are who you say you are. You should be at least turning on your camera to prove that. Second of all, like, you are mentioning a whole bunch of conspiracy theories without producing any sources to back anything up. The Walter Plecker argument has been debunked so many damn times. It is absolutely insane. They were not going through to eradicate Native American identity. They were trying to protect the integrity of whiteness. They didn't want people who could, quote unquote, trying to pass as white because they are racist fucks, and that's what it was always about. No, you are not the original American Indians. My people are the original American Indians.
I don't know why she keeps saying the American Indians. I have no idea. See, people are so ignorant about history. They just think that Indians were the first people over here. Oh, it was the Indians. Oh, no, it was not. It was the same people who arrived first in all other parts of the world. Black people. But let's continue.
Been on this continent, on this landmass for between 23 and 27,000 years.
No. And she provides no proof of that. Just pulled that out of thin air. She's claiming that these white Indians or red Indians, these high yellow Indians, have been here for 27,000 years. Get out of here. You're talking about black people. If you're going back that far, tens of thousands of years, Non-white people wasn't even on this planet that long ago. There wasn't no red Indians that long ago. Why do scientists have proved this? This is mainstream knowledge. These variations of human beings is a recent phenomenon. It popped off around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. Y'all wasn't even on the planet. Wasn't nothing but black people here on the earth that long ago, broad.
So if you have any sources to back up any of the nonsense you're saying, show it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, please no more showtime, please. Hey, Shippo, no more showtime.
Was I muted? I didn't know if I was muted. I'm new to this thing. So when people mute,
it was a showtime, so everyone was muted. It was gonna give everyone a chance to take turns. But yeah, there was just kind of a lot of misinformation. So I think one of the mods put it on showtime. So kind of getting back to what you said about
hold on. My thing is this. Hold on, because my thing is this. If we're gonna talk. Yeah, I don't want people to get into something that's trollish because I'm just speaking scholarship here.
I'm not trolling.
Then produce scholarship.
Okay, but yeah, when people just mute and just cut off the mic and start trolling.
It was
that was showtime. Are you new to TikTok?
I am. I'm not familiar with a lot of the technology.
So TikTok when showtime starts, everyone is muted.
Got it.
We all take turns.
Okay, but when somebody asks a question, then they mute and just go on a diatribe with a lot of false information.
But the Wachinian tribe not created in the
who was that? I don't even know who was the lady I was talking to.
Me. I was the one speaking, an actual American Indian and citizen of my tribe, and also a cultural anthropologist who has a degree in this field.
Oh, okay. What tribe are you from, beloved?
Lipa Inde, which is in Apache, and I'm also Purepecha, but I'm enrolled Apache.
Okay. Many of you are $5 Indians. You're classified.
Actually, that's false. So real quick, what you should know about the whole fight. No.
Many
The
of you
$5
paid to
Indian
get
trope. Hold on. Because if you actually knew U.S. history, then you would know the $5 Indian trope only applies to the 5 civilized tribes. I'm not from those tribes. I'm from a southwestern tribe. We have strict requirements. We don't have white people in our tribes.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Yes,
no.
Do. They pay
Show
and
me a white
they
Apache
finesse
right
them.
now. Show me a white Apache right now, bro.
They finesse themselves onto them tribes.
Show me a white Apache right now. We're not even on the Dawes rolls, dumbass.
One mic, guys.
You finesse your way on those tribes.
Well, can we,
a lot of
let's
these
let's not make any aspersions.
Can I show him something on the screen?
Right. If you want to talk about fake Indians.
Can I show this guy something?
Let's just not make any derogatory remarks regardless. Anyone on the panel, let's just keep it respectful.
Right.
$5 Indian is seen as highly offensive. So let's just leave, any
well, that's the term. That's what the natives call it. So.
Right, but you do understand that only applies to the 5 civilized.
This lady just said Apache. Do you know how long their history goes back? The Apache? You're talking about dates like the year 1200. What is she talking about? You're claiming to be the first people in the Americas because you're Apache? Are you kidding me? This is lightweight stuff. But let's continue.
As tribes, that has nothing to do with southwestern natives.
And some of those southwestern tribes are relatively new.
So then if you have a source, so then if you have a source that proves that, then
Okay. Lord. A bunch of unnecessary babbling. Look at this. This would shut everything down. The Olmecs were the earliest major civilization in America. The end. Period. Now, this is mainstream, so they're going to lie about the dates like they do with Egypt. But even with the liars, are given dates like 1500 BCE. There were no Apaches or no red folks up here during that time. Another thing, for whatever reason, these FBA podcasters always fail to mention the Olmecs. Why is that? I'm just curious. Why is that? And notice how they chose one of these fake artifacts to represent the Olmecs on the AI overview. They always do that. They look for one of their fake Euro invented artifacts to represent the Olmecs, which is ridiculous. Why do people always fail to mention the Olmecs? They're the only ones with massive structures that are still here. The only ones with ancient cities that still exist. But yet, people be struggling. I just don't get it. This is a real simple debate.
If you have a source that proves that, produce it then. Produce a source.
Some of those tribes are relatively new.
Produce a source that proves that.
He keeps saying that some of them tribes are relatively new. It just seems like Tariq getting roasted up here. This comes off like he's just getting roasted. He's not handling these tethers properly. He's not.
I've done that already, man. I mean, you're just
no, you have not. You have not shown one thing.
I have a quick question. So
she hasn't shown nothing either.
Are you saying the black people that were here? Are you saying that they migrated from Africa, or are you
ma'am? There were black indigenous people here that were mixed in with the black people brought over during.
Oh God, yes. The first blacks that came here originally migrated from Africa. But that was eons ago. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, in fact, more likely, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Should have let them have that. Yeah, they migrated from Africa eons ago. This is easy work. These tethers are actually easy work.
Already there were black indigenous people here that were mixed in with the black people brought over during slavery. It was a
no, they were not.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Oh God. Let me back this up.
Are you saying that they migrated? Question. So are you saying the black people that were here? Are you saying that they migrated from Africa? Or are
ma'am. There were black indigenous people here that were mixed in with the black people brought over during slavery.
Okay, black indigenous. As if to suggest that we originated here. Now, from my understanding, we originated in Africa, but it was a long time ago. But listen, I wasn't here that long ago. We don't know the true origins of humans, but if we originated here, we originated in the warmer part of the land, most likely before the continent broke apart from Africa. We all know that happened. We all can agree that happened. That at one point, this was like one landmass. And during that time, there were people on the earth. So why wouldn't they occupy this land? That would make no sense at all.
Slavery. It was a
no, they were not.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was.
Not true.
The tribe you mentioned was created in the 1990s, Tariq, the Wachito.
No, it wasn't. They've been around for thousands of years, and the Yamasee were around for thousands of years.
Okay, good on Tariq, right?
I guess I want to.
Good on Tariq. Salute to Tariq for that. He said thousands of years this time, rather than centuries. Centuries is that's 100 years.
Put 100 on it.
Yeah. So all of the explorers weren't lying when they saw black people over here. Why'd they say that?
Explorers came in the 1500s, Tariq.
Right, and they saw black people here. Why'd they say they saw black people here?
Because black people may have migrated to America before then.
Listen to that. He just said black people may have migrated here before that. Keep that in mind.
Right.
That still makes them African, Tariq. What are you saying?
No. Listen, follow this right here.
Saying right.
Oh, Lord. God.
Why are you saying right? That still makes them African.
Sir, everybody migrated from Africa, sir. At one
that
point.
Is incorrect.
Oh, my God.
That is incorrect,
They
Tariq.
didn't?
What is he talking about? He said that's incorrect. Listen to this guy.
Then where did everybody come from?
Correct. Homo sapiens originated in Africa, but that's not the same as modern migrations.
That's the problem right there. They're looking at black migration as a modern. They're trying to suggest that if black people migrated to the Americas, that they did it recently. Why would anybody think that or believe that? Why would you even suggest that? When that is not the case in any other part of the world. For example, we've talked about the Jarara people and the Sentinelese people. They migrated to that part of the world tens of thousands of years ago. Look it up. You'll see dates that are talking about 40,000 years ago, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 years ago. They are saying that those people arrived in those lands. But when it comes to here in America, they always want to try to suggest that it was a recent migration. That is crazy. That's crazy. And that makes no sense. That makes no logical sense at all.
Correct.
Oh, my God.
That is incorrect.
They didn't? Then where did everybody come from?
Correct. Homo sapiens originated in Africa, but that's not the same as modern migrations.
Everybody. Asians migrated from Africa at one point.
Again, all Homo sapiens originated in Africa. No one is denying that.
Okay,
but we're talking about modern migration.
Hold on.
Why does black migration to the United States have to be a modern thing? Who in the world made you God, broad? Who in the world gave you the authority to say that if blacks migrated here, they had to have done it recently? What are you talking about? What are you basing that on? Where is your evidence to support that? Where we got evidence that blacks migrated in all other parts of the world tens of thousands years ago, but when it comes to America, oh, that had to have been a recent migration. Everything changes. All standards change when it comes to America. Why is that? That's one piece of evidence that we were here. These people not even staying in line with world history, with the history of migration.
Tariq, are you FBA, right?
Yes, sir.
FBA?
What are you,
Okay,
sir?
cool.
What are you, sir?
I'm from Cameroon.
Cameroon. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. So I'm just gonna ask you this peacefully, respectfully. Can you ask your FBA people to leave Africa alone? Because they've been coming at us for no reason, respecting us.
That's
I'm
a
not feeling
projection.
it.
That's a
Okay,
projection.
I'm just being honest.
let's get past this goofy African or Cameroonian got dumb for a second.
People crossed the Bering Strait, but
Right.
for some reason, the people you
Listen,
did come from Africa at some point. But guess what?
Right.
Some people went.
Africans are not indigenous to the Americas. Our phenotype would have been impossible to form here. It's too cold here.
you dumb broad. You dumb broad. Let me back that up.
Our phenotype. Yeah, this is a lot of misinformation being spewed. I'm sorry.
Extreme.
Africans are not indigenous to the Americas. Our phenotype would have been impossible to form here. It's too cold here.
She said it's too cold in the Americas. Does anybody agree with that? Let's see how slow you are. Does anybody agree with that? That it's too cold in the Americas? First of all, establish what the Americas is before you answer that, please. The Americas is not only the United States. And nobody's trying to argue that we originated here in the Americas. We don't know. But based on, most scientists say we all came from Africa. But you're saying that we could not have originated in the Americas because it's too cold is foolish. The Americas rest, parts of the Americas rest on the equator. You think it's too cold in Mexico? You saying it's too cold in South America? Those are the Americas. People, snap out of it. Why do so many people act slow? I just don't get it. Lord.
The sun doesn't show the same. It's not the same.
Do you know how the people
could you unmute your mic, please?
Me?
No,
I'm thinking I don't think he know how to.
Okay.
Somebody muted him, and I doubt if you can unmute his.
So that they, right?
Listen
at some point, but guess what? Like the good sister said up there, everyone did come from Africa at some point. But guess what?
Right.
Some people went through Asia, right? They spent hundreds of thousands of years, right? Mm-hmm. And when they got to America, they had evolved into different DNAs and different genetic markers and different haplogroups.
Right.
You know that. Some people crossed the Bering Strait. But for some reason, the people you claim were the ones that were here first still have the same shit they took away from Africa. So why don't you see that? For some reason, some people got here first and you're just newcomers.
Now, do you understand what that ignorant tether just said? He said it in a confusing way. Let me clarify what he just said, his point here.
For some reason, some people got here first and you're just newcomers.
When I was over
Africa. So why don't you see that? Reason the people you claim were the ones that were here first.
Okay.
Still have the same shit they took away from Africa.
He's saying that we still look like the blacks on the continent. He's basically saying, if you were here, then you came here recently from Africa. Why would anybody believe that? What kind of sense does that make? Wait a minute.
Ones that were here first. But for some reason, the people you claim were the ones that were here first still have the same shit they took away from Africa.
He said, oh, yeah. That if he's basically saying there's no way blacks could have been here, that we would have had to have mixed. I don't actually know what this goofy dude is trying to say. But the overall narrative is that we are newcomers. That's basically what he's trying to argue. He literally says it, that if we were here first, that if we were here, that we came after everybody else showed up. What in the world are you talking about? Listen to it.
So why don't you see that? For some reason, some people got here first and you're just newcomers.
He's saying that we're newcomers because we still got afros. We're newcomers because we're not mixed. What kind of sense does that make? That is so foolish.
When I was over in Fiji, if you see the Fijian people, they're jet black people with afros. Now, they've been there for centuries. They've been there for a long time. But they told me about their African origin story. They told me that their lineage comes from East Africa. They broke it down and they told me some of the words that were used in Fiji were words that were similar to some of the tribes over there. Now, they have African lineage, but they are an ethnogenesis and they became Fijians. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not generic Africans. There's this thing where people want foundational Black Americans to be generic Africans. Why do they want us to be generic Africans so badly?
I didn't know that Africans were
incorrect. Nobody wants you to be generic
African. Can you bring Daryl up? I think we should have a few FBAs.
Right, okay.
Because see, when you say, the issue here is right, Tariq. The Fiji people don't have as much ties to Africa as you do when it comes genetically, when it comes to genetic markers, haplogroups and all that. They don't, right? Guess what? See, you left yesterday. These people left long before you did. That is all we are saying. Because right now, the point...
What makes these people think we got here recently? When the oldest artifacts in the Americas are Black artifacts. Where are they getting this from? The oldest people, the oldest civilizations, the oldest sculptures, monuments were Black. And again, it would help if people kept the Olmecs close in mind. The Olmecs were here before the Aztecs. They were here before the Incas, before the Mayas. They were here before everybody. And they were Black. Just like the first people in all other parts of the world were Black. These people look African, but they don't claim African. These are the Jarara people. Why do they always try to say that we have closer ties to Africa than these other Blacks around the world when we all arrived in these parts of the world at about the same time? I made a video about this, and I went through several of these islands, of these areas of the world: Australia, the Sentinelese Islands, the Fiji Islands, all those islands in the Pacific. And I showed images of the original people in these parts of the world. And I shared the times when they arrived in those parts of the world. With each tribe in each island, each area, they arrived 30, 40, 60, 80,000 years ago. All of them. So why are you trying to argue that we arrived in the Americas a few hundred years ago? That doesn't even make logical sense. And quite frankly, it's not even possible. It's literally impossible for us to have arrived, what, in the year 1400? That's what they're trying to say. That Blacks, if we migrated over here, that we migrated over here around the year 1200. When the Indians were here first, and how did we get over here if we migrated over here? If we migrated over here during that age, let's say the year 1100, or I don't know, whatever this goofy tether is trying to argue. If we came over here at around that time, how did we get over here? And where's your proof? Where's your evidence that we came over here at that time? Lord, these people are brain dead goofies. Brain dead goofies. And you know what? Racism prevents people from appreciating history. I'm going to come back to that.
Points you're pushing is trying to convince these people out here that they are indigenous to the land. And you know for a fact that is a lie.
Part of us is. Part of us have indigenous.
That is due to admixture, my good brother. Right. It is not... I know that...
Why? And then he's kind of conceding to this guy. Part of us is... What the hell? It's like he's falling apart.
But see,
what's happened, did you?
That is due to admixture, my good brother. Right. It is not... I know that, but see, that is admixture because some of these tribes had slaves. Let's face it. There's a reason why we have... No, there's a reason why we have Seminole and we have Black Seminole. There's a reason why we have Geechee and we have Gullah Geechee. Let's face it. Some of these tribes did have slaves. Some of them took you in when you ran from being...
So what in the world is he talking about? Now he's saying, yeah, there were blacks over here because they were enslaved. They were slaves. And what? The Red Indians are the ones who enslaved them? So what are you saying? The Red Indian... Lord, a bunch of ignorant goofies. Black people came over here tens of thousands, eons ago, tens of thousands. When black people came over to this land, there were no Mexican, there were no light-skinned, nobody, wasn't no white people, wasn't none of these pale people. Y'all wasn't even on the earth yet. Y'all wasn't even on the planet yet. Wasn't nothing but black people on the earth. When blacks first migrated, when Europeans first traveled and left Europe, which was in the Middle Ages, when they went around the world and they saw blacks in all areas of the world, okay, this is something that even they admit to. This is something that is maintained in academia right now. You can look up all people. Again, I did it already. When they went out, traveled the world, they saw blacks in all of these islands. Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, all these islands. Sentinelese Islands are in here. All these lands. Australia, New Zealand. They found Negroes in these areas. And do you know what that meant? Do you know what that symbolized? It was proof, irrefutable proof of prehistoric global navigation. It was irrefutable proof of prehistoric man sailing around the world, navigating the world. And nobody appreciates that simply because those people were black. There is no way black people could have made it to all of these islands without sailing to them. It's impossible. They did not swim. They had to have sailed. And if they sailed to these different parts of the world, that had to have taken place eons ago, in prehistoric times. And it was at those times when people arrived here in the Americas. What people are trying to do, I mean, imagine how crazy it would be and foolish it would be if they were to try to argue that white people were the first people in Australia. And that's essentially what they're trying to do with the Americas. When you argue that blacks were the first in the Americas, deal with the Americas the same way you would deal with all these other parts of the world. Because they arrived in other parts of the world at around the same time, tens of thousands of years ago. So why would they just arrive in the United States, in the Americas? Why would we just arrive here in the Americas a few hundred years ago? What kind of sense does that make? You have an endless number of artifacts. You have, even down there in Mexico, an artifact that the Mexicans named El Negro. An Olmec artifact, who were the first people here. And I believe that the Olmecs actually arrived here in the Americas tens of thousands of years ago. Tens of thousands of years ago. And they migrated here from Egypt. Egypt was a global empire. They navigated the entire world and populated the entire world. But the majority of the evidence of them navigating the world is here in the Americas, because they built the same structures. They didn't have the exact same material, so it couldn't be of the exact same quality. But they have the exact same structures and science that goes into the structures. You got pyramid complexes aligned with the stars, just like what you see in Egypt. Do you know how long ago that would have had to have been? That took place eons ago. That's how you take this discussion. Lord, I just don't get it. This ain't no Mexican's face. Hell, the Mexicans are down there calling these statues Negroes. They're the ones calling them Negroes. Look it up. Look up Olmec El Negro. You see it right there in my search. That El Negro statue has a classic black person's hairstyle. The afros with the peak in the front. That's a classic way to style your afro among black people. There's no way this is no image of no stupid Mexican. You have numerous examples. These were black people. And they did not first come over here at no 1500 BCE. And that's their date. They're putting out dates like 1500 BCE. And even if you use that date, that is far beyond these red Indians. I don't know if he brought up Von Woot now. What about the testimony and artifacts from Von Woot now? Let me see here. Okay. How do you spell this man's name? Von Lord. Okay, there's no, what in the world here? Okay, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. What a strange name. W-U-T, okay, dude. Lord. What about his testimonies? What about all the artifacts found over here? Which are, make no mistake, the oldest artifacts over here. Like I said, this is not even a big deal. It's a big deal because people are so racist. They're so racist, and they're so against us being the first people in these lands. They have no problem with us being the first people in other lands. Why? Because those other lands are not as valuable as the United States. This is why they are hell bent on us not being the first people in the United States, because today, the United States is a very valuable land. It's not like the North Sentinel Islands. They don't care that we were the first people over there. They don't care that we were the first people in Australia. They don't care that we were the first people in any other part of the world. Now, let me take that back. They might do the same thing when you talk about China or whatnot, but the scientists in China have already said that the first people in their lands were the blacks. We're small black people. You don't get this kind of pushback in no other part of the world, only here in the United States, even though here in the United States, you have the strongest evidence of black presence. Make sense out of that for me. Make sense out of that for me. Now I gotta go to work. That was my 2 cents. I will see you on the next live.